Okay, everyone, welcome back to Cooking with TK. Today, you guys, I made me some delicious collard greens with some, you ain't gonna believe it now, some smoked pigtails, and this cornbread is crackling bread, y'all. So if you guys would like to know how I made this delicious meal, yes, this is a meal for a Southern girl. We do this here in Georgia. Then let's get into this video. Okay, you guys, so I have the ingredients laid out here that I am using. I have some collard greens. I got the greens that were in the bag. They were already pre-cut, but you know, you gotta wash them, get the nasty stuff out of them because it be nasty stuff in that bag. But I am gonna show y'all a clip of when I washed them and what I look for, okay, in those greens, because you don't want no bugs or nothing. Okay, so now I got some vegetables. I'm gonna add some chopped onions, chopped red bell pepper, chopped green bell pepper. I'm using some brown sugar. I'm only gonna use a tablespoon of brown sugar because that's just one bag of chopped greens, y'all, okay? But you season according to your liking. Use a tablespoon and a half of apple cider vinegar. That's a tablespoon and a half of apple cider vinegar. Don't use too much of apple cider vinegar. Remember, it can be potent. It's very strong. This is 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm using the 3 tablespoons of butter because I don't have any bacon fat, and I'm not going to add any vegetable oil. That butter's going to do the same thing. If you want to use bacon fat and you have it, go ahead and use it. If you want to use vegetable oil, canola oil, trust me, you can use that as well, but we're just going to use those 3 tablespoons of butter, and it's unsalted butter, so it's not going to add any extra salt, okay, that we don't need, because we got salt in a lot of other ingredients. So I'm going to use some hot sauce. I don't have any regular hot pepper. I like to use those red or those green garden peppers, but I don't have any. Yes, I am going to use a tablespoon of beef bouillon, and I am going to use some chicken bouillon as well. If you don't have the beef bouillon, just go ahead and use the chicken bouillon. Use 2 chicken bouillons or 3. Onion powder, some slap your mama seasoning. If you don't have slap your mama seasoning, use some seasoned salt or whatever Cajun seasoning you have. Okay, I am going to use garlic powder, and I am going to use black pepper. So these are all the ingredients that I am going to use to make our collard greens. Follow these recipes step by step. I promise you, you will not be disappointed in this recipe for your collard greens, okay? So now, the first thing we are going to do to make our collard greens is we are going to rinse these pigtails off that I have. That's right, these are pigtails. It is a cured meat. If you don't want to use pigtail, you can use ham hock. You can use fat back. You can use turkey, smoked turkey. It doesn't matter. It's going to turn out the same. The meat is just to season your liquid with that you're going to cook your greens with. It's a seasoning. That's it. But we're going to rinse all that salt off. Can't you see it's just covered in salt? We got to rinse that off. So let's get ready to head over to the sink and let's rinse all that salt off. We don't want to be up here with this high blood pressure dying. Okay, so the only thing you have to do is just rinse it off. Wash it off. Clean all that salt off. However you want to say it, you guys, get the salt off because it's full of salt. That's why you didn't see me have seasoning salt out, which, I'm sorry, you guys. The slap your mama seasoning got salt in it. The bouillon has salt in it. So that's why we're not going to add any more salt because it is so not needed. Okay, so after you rinse it off, get you a pot. Fill it with water. Make sure that the water covers your pigtails. And you're going to boil these pigtails for about 45 minutes to an hour until they're tender. And you can cut into them. Next, after we do our pigtails, let's go ahead and let's wash our greens. And the reason why we're washing these greens is because These are pre-cut greens, as I stated at the beginning of the video. And when you buy the bags of greens that are pre-cut, it can be a bug in there. You have dead leaves in there. You don't want that nasty stuff. So just go ahead and wash your greens. Get it out. You don't want nobody eating that stuff. And by them being pre-cut, you didn't get to see what you were cutting and pull it off the old-fashioned way. How I ended up with these pre-cut greens was simple fact that I went to this store in my city called Food Depot, and it was dark, and I just got off from work before I decided to come home and cook this. It's about 8 o'clock at night, and I needed to see that nasty stuff. That's what I'm trying to throw off. I was still like, I got to get something to cook to eat, so I got me some greens. And they didn't have any fresh collard greens, so that's how I ended up with this. Y'all see that? That's what I just picked off, something nasty. It's just, I like pre-cut greens because it cuts down the time, but at the same time, you got to clean it. So wash your greens. After you pick all that nasty stuff out once, go ahead and do it again. So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing that off camera, and then I'll be back for the next step. Okay, so now our pigtails have boiled for 45 minutes to an hour. I suggest you do an hour if you're going to use pigtails, any cured meat. I'm going to add in chicken bouillon, okay? Just take 1 chicken bouillon and 1 tablespoon of the beef bouillon. That's not the powder kind, that's the better than bouillon kind. But if you have the cube kind, it'll be 1 cube. Greens don't need a lot of water, but because we already got the water in the pot, we're not going to add any more. So now we're going to add in a tablespoon of brown sugar at the bottom. We're going to add in our apple cider vinegar, which is 1.5 tablespoons. We're going to add in some onion powder. Remember, that's going to be seasoned to your liking. And we're going to add in some Slap Your Mama seasoning. And at the bottom, because I'm going to, that's about a half a tablespoon of each seasoning that I'm adding in right now, because I am going to add the other half of the tablespoon at the top after we put the greens in. So right now it's a 1/2 tablespoon of the garlic powder, the onion powder, the black pepper, and the Slap Your Mama seasoning. Let's not go overboard with the seasoning. Okay, so now after we get all this good seasoning in here, we're going to add us some hot sauce to the bottom. Now this is at your discretion when it comes to the hot sauce, because I don't know how y'all like y'all heat. I just like mine to like a minimum heat, but I like some kick to it, so that's why I put some hot sauce in it. So just go ahead and put you about 3 dabs of hot sauce, 3 or 4 dabs. Okay, so now we're going to add in half of the collard greens. Like so. You see how I'm doing here? So that's half of those collard greens. And y'all probably like, half? That pot is just about already full. Collard greens cook down. And they cook down fairly quickly. So it's not going to take long for them to cook down. It's not going to mess up the pot, overfill it, or overflow. So now I'm going to go ahead and add those chopped onions, the chopped bell pepper, the red bell pepper, and the chopped green bell pepper to the middle layer of my greens. Give it just a little stir so that it can float down and get to all the sections of your greens, okay? Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to go ahead and add the other half of my collard greens, okay? Y'all please excuse my baby, my puppy. He's fussing. He ready to get out of his cage. I didn't know he was going to complain and fuss while I had to do my voiceover. So now, let's go ahead and once we get all of these greens into the pot, remember, they are going to cook down. You don't have to worry about them thinking they're going to overflow or it's just too much. It's just 1 bag of those greens, not 2. And we're going to add everything into this pot at once. So now I'm going to go in with the other half of the onions, the red bell pepper, and the green bell pepper. And I'm going to add, remember, the other half of the tablespoon. We're going to add half a tablespoon of those seasonings again. We're going to add the onion powder, the garlic powder, the black pepper, some hot sauce, and the other half, just a little bit more of the brown sugar. So go ahead and add that in on this top once we get all of our veggies into this pot. You guys, when I tell you that this is finger licking good, it is. So I'm adding that brown sugar, the slap your mama seasoning. We're going to add the onion powder, the black pepper, and the garlic powder. And just a little bit more hot sauce on the top. Them 3 dabs. 1, 2, 3. You know me. And no, we're not going to add any more apple cider vinegar. Trust me, you don't need any more apple cider vinegar. If you like and you think you may want a little more chicken bouillon, go ahead and add you 1 more chicken bouillon if you feel like you need it. Because you need an extra spoon to the side after you do all this. Because you're going to taste as you go, okay? Don't forget, add your 3 tablespoons of butter to the top. And we're going to allow this to cook down. Now, once it has cooked down, stir your greens. Constantly stir your greens. Allow your greens to cook for 45 minutes to an hour. It just depends on how many greens you got. But technically, greens don't take that long to cook. So, you can let them cook for about 45 minutes. During the process, towards the end, I say about the last 15 minutes, take the top off. Let that top come off so some of the liquid can steam out, okay? Because you don't want too much liquid, but you do want some of that liquid for that cornbread. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make our crackling bread. Here I have a pack of pre-made cornbread mix. First thing I'm going to do is take my butter into my skillet that can be used in my oven, and I am going to melt this butter. Just stick it on in there. If you got bacon grease, you'll use bacon grease. Allow that butter to melt. Make sure your oven is preheated to 425 degrees. So let's go ahead and let's prepare this cornbread according to the package. But we are going to add some of our own ingredients to this as well. Yes, I am using milk. If you got the prepackaged cornbread, it's going to say milk or water. Whatever it suggests you use it, but I'm using milk. Here I'm going to add in a cup of crackling, okay? Then I'm going to add 1 egg to this cornbread mixture. We're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of sugar to this cornbread mixture. And we're going to go in and we're going to add that melted butter, swirl it around that pan so the pan can get greased up so that your cornbread doesn't burn and stick. Okay, pour that butter in there like so. Because this is the same pan, remember, that we're going to cook this cornbread in. Start mixing your cornbread mixture together for your crackling cornbread. Crackling bread is very delicious. You need the soft crackling out the store, not hard skins. It's a difference, okay? Now go ahead and pour into the same baking dish that you melted the butter in. I'm using a cast iron skillet. It's really good when you baking something like cornbread, peach cobbler. Yeah, I said peach cobbler. Use a cast iron skillet. Okay, so now we're going into the oven, and this is going to cook until it's nice and golden brown. Take your fork and test it. It's ready and it's out, our crackling bread. Just go ahead and get you some butter. This is unsalted butter. Use whatever you want. It's according to your taste and your liking. And spread that butter over that beautiful crackling cornbread. Isn't that beautiful, you guys? You're going to enjoy it. It's going to be tasteful if you're cooking for your friends after church on a Sunday or a family dinner, Thanksgiving, whatever, a holiday, Sunday dinner, soul food, meal, southern style. You're going to enjoy this crackling bread recipe. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's move on to show you how our greens turned out. So these are our pigtails and collard greens, you guys. Isn't that beautiful? It is so delicious. Whoo! When I tell you guys, I wish you could smell it and taste the broth. But guess what? I don't have to tell you because you will be trying this recipe of these delicious Southern style collard greens. You will enjoy these greens. The pigtail made so much of flavor to the greens. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified each and every time I upload a video. Stay tuned to my channel. Have a great day.